want to get your business done and take care of it, not have to worry about anything?
I think it's a lot of what you said in the latter. We just wanted to make sure we got our practices in, our spring, based off of what our COVID rules are up here in the state. It wasn't going to be much of a spring game compared to the games that you guys saw on TV where they had fans and everything else. Our fans hadn't even seen our new dome yet. So it was just a matter of making sure we get our work in and everybody could focus and kind of eliminate all the distractions and really lock in on what they needed to do.
Thanks, Mario. Next, we'll go to Nico.
Thanks, Howard. Coach, good to see you. One thing that really stood out to me when the players were talking yesterday was just a lot of energy and enthusiasm. Certainly, we'd always expect that, right? But I just want to say, how much is that energy really carried into this spring and the positive vibes and all that good stuff? How much can that carry into the rest of the offseason leading into eventually the fall?
I think it can carry a great deal. I think the biggest thing is to hear those. I was really excited. I didn't know what those guys were going to say. I'm like, hey, boom, boom, boom. You guys go up there. They want to talk to you guys, go talk to them. And to hear them be excited about spring practice. There's not too many football players that are normally excited about spring ball. They get excited about fall ball, but not camp and stuff like that. But I really appreciated that they understood how important spring ball was, and they enjoyed learning the rest their tool belts. I mean, for the Josh Blacks and the older guys, it's not really that way. But for the younger guys like Garrett and Matthew Bergeron and Sean, to see those guys embrace the quest for knowledge and learning more, understanding that, yeah, they're good, but they could be so much better if they had the complete package. And that's what we were trying to give them with the lack of spring ball that those guys had. And, it was interesting even to hear Luke Benson say that he had missed spring ball. So this was like his first spring ball, and we all act like Luke's been around forever. But it's amazing how much growth there was. It's really exciting to me.
Thanks, Nico. Next, go to Eric.
Hey, Dino. One of the things that the players kept talking about yesterday was competition, and it feels like everybody's job is up for grabs. Just how is that competition playing out during spring ball, and more specifically, how is it playing out with your quarterbacks?
Well, starting with the quarterbacks, I think that competition is healthy. I think that anytime you have competition, you're going to make people better. I think back to our 10-3 season in that room, and we had multiple guys behind the center in that 10-3 season. Now, it all finished with Eric Dungy, and rightfully so. And we're all looking forward to him having another opportunity in the National Football League, because I really believe that he should be somewhere playing quarterback for somebody in that league. But competition brings out the best in everyone, not only football players, but media people, teachers, professors, and businessmen. And I think that competition is what everybody embraces. It's throughout the entire team. It was just a matter of come in, do your job, and if you're the best, then you're going to have an opportunity to play. And I think that that really spoke volumes during the spring practice.
Thanks, Eric. Next, we will go to John Kikis and then Stephen Bailey.
Hey, Coach, can you do a little more, tell us a little bit more about the quarterback situation, who stand out so far?
I think the biggest thing is that I think we've got the best room since we've been here. From 1 through 5, those guys are really something. I think Justin, the younger young man, our youngest kid, is going to be really good. We're really excited about him. Dylan has really come on. He made some throws in spring ball, and we kind of look back, and he's looking at me like, heck yeah, I can do that. And then, Jacobian stands up there like a statue. He's like the Statue of Liberty when he's in a pocket. You just love the way he just is so fearless when he's standing up there, and it's good to see him come back from his concussion situation. And then the other 2 guys have done fabulous. I mean, Garrett's legs are a plus. There's no doubt about it. And Tommy's been very accurate with the ball. So I think this competition is healthy. I think the competition will continue throughout the summer, and we'll see what happens in the fall.
Thanks, John. Stephen?
Hey, Dino. Obviously, the thing that's tied to your quarterback play is the offensive line play. Talking with the players yesterday, especially Matthew, I kind of got the impression that they thought it was a good spring for that group. What did you take away from their performance, from Mike Schmidt's coaching style, and then how much stock do you put into spring ball for that group?
First of all, Stephen, it's good to see your face, man.
You too. It's been a long time.
I missed your face. Yeah, I think the coolest thing is this. They were all in practice we got one more. We got one more practice tomorrow. But they've been there every single day, you know, to see Dakota and Blyche and Tisdale rolling around inside in there with Bergeron and Red and Service outside. And now watch this. And guys moving around all different types of position to build flexibility in the group. You know, I really like where we're going with like the top 6 to top 8 guys. And again, this goes right back to that big year that we had. You know, the key thing about that big year was we had injuries at other positions, but we didn't have injuries at that position. And that's the one that really hurts. Now we have a lot of offensive linemen, but we'll have a lot more when August gets here. I want to say we've got 5 more young men coming in. And I would be very surprised if they're ready right now, although I think they're extremely talented. And once we get them here and see what they can or can't do, who can help us, who can't help us, and then put those guys into the weight program for a year, you know, I'll say this, you know, I guess I am saying it. I don't ever want to be in a situation where we don't have enough offensive linemen again, period. So we're going to keep those numbers high if we can, and get in a situation where we don't have to play other positions at O-line positions, even though I still think the guy did really, really well while he was in there.
Yeah. Just to follow up, obviously availability is really important. You know, is there anything within style of play, you know, anything that Coach Schmidt has added or emphasized that you think could make a difference in how those guys perform?
You know, I think he's come in and he's put his personality, he's putting his personality on the group. And if the group is willing to adapt and take that personality on, I think we might have a chance.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Nate Mink.
Good to see you, Dino. I'm gonna go outside the margins because that's where I typically go with you on some stuff.
Yes, sir.
No, I wanted to ask you about some of the coaching connections that you brought in over the past really 2 off seasons now. They're tied to San Diego State and Rocky Long. What is it about that shop that you're maybe trying to emulate? And with respect to bringing in Coach Schmidt, is that an acknowledgement or a signal that, you know, you really got to get your run game fixed to have success?
Well, let's put it like this. I believe in the run game, regardless of everything that I've done and every place that I've been with the people I've been with who got it done through the air. I mean, those championship teams that I was a part of, 4 of them, was because we could run the football. And to me, that's what football is all about. It's not about, if it was 7-on-7 league, it would be on ABC and ESPN and everybody be running around with their flags on, okay? And they'd have all kind of major sponsors. That's not what football is. Football is about taking somebody and moving them someplace they don't want to go against their will. And when you can do that, it's a very, very exciting game that everybody wants to watch. So running the football is important. Stopping the run is important. You're not going to be hard-headed about it because there's good coaches out there. They can figure out a way to put a whole bunch of people in the box and stop you from running. And then you have to be efficient throwing the football, which is what this offense is all about, okay? We can efficiently throw the football because people stop the run, and therefore we got them coming and going. So you have to have a run game, and that's first and foremost, and then you have to be able to throw the ball efficiently. You don't always have to run the ball every game to win, but it's hard to win consistently if you can't do that. And as always, Nate, you ask 2 questions, I answer 1, and I can't remember the other question you want to answer.
Just all the influx of coaches from Rocky Long's coaching tree. You know, you brought in Tony last year, you brought in Mike this year. You have some support staff guys that have ties to that program too. What are we trying to do here?
First of all, I have a lot of respect for Rocky Long. Rocky Long is he's an old school coach that's done it his way for a long period of time. A lot of people told him that he's wrong, and here he is, still right. He's still doing exactly what he wants to do all the way to the very end of his career. he's a tough guy. Okay. And it has to be done a certain way. And I think that those attributes always fare very well in the game of football. And there's a toughness about the way he coaches. And therefore, a lot of those coaches have to have a lot of toughness to be able to handle it.
Sure. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Nate. Brent?
Morning, Coach. Appreciate you doing this. So I wanted to follow up on something that you mentioned on Packer and Durham this morning about eliminating distractions and that approach that you've taken here. Was that the reason for what was mostly a quiet spring? And is that going to be the approach kind of going forward here into the fall as well?
No, I don't think that's going to be the approach going in the fall. I'm waiting for you guys to get your vaccination cards, show proof of vaccination, and let's get back down on the football field and see what in the heck we're opening up with, and see Pops going, see Steven writing down who's injured and stuff. I'm ready to get you guys back. Okay, let's freaking go. But no, I think the biggest thing is there's still a lot of social things going on. You guys, what we need to do is, even though we can't get away from those things because we live in the United States of America and we're going to be a part of some of the things that are going on, we need to really focus in when we get our time together with each other at practice, in meetings, that we really need to focus and lock in on us, on our family, because there's so much other stuff that's going on once we get outside those parameters of time. That was the big thing.
My follow-up to that is a couple of the players, you even mentioned it yesterday, 1 in 10 can't happen again. I would imagine you share that philosophy, but how much do you want to leave that in the past versus use it as fuel when necessary?
1 in 10 is not something you really want to use as fuel. I think I did listen to the interviews. I want to say maybe it was Josh Black. I don't want to throw this where he said, "Hey, I've never been a part of a team that's only won one game his entire life." And I've been doing it for 35, and I can't remember how many years I was playing before that. Just add 10, 45 years. Before last year, it only happened once to me in 45 years. That's coaching and playing. So it's not something that happens a lot. And it's something that needs not happen again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Josh St. Croix.
Hi, Coach. Just want to go back to what you were saying about the competition and ask specifically about the running backs. I know earlier this spring you said Abdul and Jarvian were back, and obviously Sean Tucker and a group of guys, coming back from last year. Just wondering what you've seen from that position and, if anybody stood out there.
I think the biggest thing is I think that group is really good. We've had, you guys have seen clips and glimpses of certain guys doing certain things. I think for the most part that backfield is the best backfield we've had going into my 6th year. If you talk from top to bottom, I really think that not only these guys know what they're doing, but they can make plays with their legs, and they take pride in their blocking, and now they're doing a little bit more of pass receiving and doing some of those things out of the backfield. So I think as a group, Orange Nation should be really excited with the backs we have.
Thanks, Josh. Next, we'll go to Mike Curtis and then Jacob Payne after that.
Hey, Dino, good to see you again.
Yes, sir.
What have you seen from your newest group of freshmen? And how do you think they'll factor into the team, knowing that you got a bunch of depth that you didn't have last year?
Now, when you say our new freshmen, are you referring to the ones that came in January, or are you talking about the ones, and I'm the ones that came back in August? And you understand, we still have the redshirt freshmen that were already, that are redshirt freshmen again. So there's a lot of freshmen on this football team.
Right, the class of 2021 that just signed.
That just signed in January.
Correct.
Okay, the class of 2021. So you're not talking about the ones that are on campus now, just
the ones that signed on in December.
And showed up in January.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Okay. Okay. So
sorry about that.
That's all right. I just want to make sure I get your question answered.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, they came in and they're walking around like, what is going on? It's so cool. Like, Justin he's supposed to be at a senior prom, and he's sitting there, his very first, he better not get mad at me for saying this. His very first time he dropped back to pass rush, and he had Josh Black and Bear and Kingsley on a loop, and then here's so-and-so coming off the edge, and his hands separated, and he's looking left and right, and then they all went by him like, you know, boom, 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 because they're not allowed to hit him. And he's standing there, and he looked at me, and I go, yeah, they're a lot faster than high school, huh? But you know what? But here's the thing: all the guys go through that. It's, you know, whether it's Terry Lockett, whether it's Polk, the DBs, it's all of them go through it, and then they start to realize that they just pick up the speed. They just realize that their crossover dribble is not good enough anymore. That they got to swing the bat a little bit faster when they go from minor to Major League Baseball as a kid, and they pick up the speed. They're kind of in a fog for like the first 7 or 8 practices. They got a lot better the last 6. And then when they go through summer and we get them back in August, that's when you'll see a big difference. Because compared to the other freshmen, they'll already know the speed and they already know the strength that's needed, you know, to play at this level. I want to touch you with this because this is a really good question, especially for Terry. Like when you're in high school, you're the biggest, baddest thing in high school. And when you put hands on somebody, all the coaches and don't hurt them, blah, blah, because you're big, you're strong, and there's not a lot of guys like you. There's nothing more interesting than seeing a big guy put his hands on one of the offense. I'm talking about Terry. Put your hands on one of the offensive linemen, and then their eyes get big like the offensive lineman didn't even feel him and then threw him out of the way and then went somewhere else. And they realize, hey, coach, I got to get stronger, huh? And I go, yeah, you know, you got to get stronger, but it's okay. It happens to everybody. And that's when your work ethic changed. When you thought you were good enough, you thought you were working hard, you thought you were running hard, you thought you were in shape. And then some older classman just told you or showed you what you need to be a starter at this level in the ACC. So, you know, that's the fun stuff. And then they get bigger and they get stronger and they get better. And then we get to talk about them a lot more.
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Jacob and then Christian.
Hey, Coach, we've heard a lot about the quarterbacks, the running backs, and the offensive line. Where do you see, what position group do you see having the fiercest competition so far?
The fiercest competition so far has been the offense versus the defense.
Okay, and
The defense.
on every side or any position really stand out?
Well, I mean, there's, when you talk about how the O-line's gone against the D-line, and, you know, the D-lines are right, you know, you got like 4 or 5 seniors coming back. Those guys are salty. And they had to bring it every single day just to be able to stay with them. Defense got after them really early in camp. Offense started to have their moments, but then just recently, offense is starting to come on a little bit more. Now, I'm not saying who won, who lost. I don't know, but it's been interesting. The deal between the running backs and the linebackers are so fast and they're so good and they're so physical. And then we're going to take care of our own. So there's certain things we won't do against our guys. We won't cut our guys and do stuff like that. But there's certain blitzes that the linebackers run that if we run a game, you know, we'd cut them like a redwood tree. I'm like, don't take that punishment if that guy's going to run through that gap at that velocity. Just go ahead and cut him. But we don't do that to our own guys, and our backs have to stand up and take punishment in the spring that they would never have to do in the fall. Some guy that we would play, I'm not even going to glorify a team, ran through a gap the way our linebackers were running through a gap. They'd be chopped. I mean, we chopped the heck out of them. But we had to take those guys on, and it's a proudful dad moment or a grandfather moment to watch those guys. They know it's going to hurt. And they got to step up there and do it anyway, and, you know, take some physical punishment that they normally don't take unless they're carrying the ball. And that's to help a wide receiver or to help a quarterback get a ball off. And those are moments where iron sharpening iron, and these guys are getting better. And then wide receivers are my babies, but they know how I am. I want those guys to be rock solid. I want them to be stud muffins. And the DBs, I don't say anything to them. They can grab them, yank them, do whatever they want. We're not going to cry about it. You need to get open. And as long as they're not hurting you, okay, you need to get open and don't be looking for a doggone flag. So there really has been some battles on the football field. There's been some mental battles during stretches. There's been some guys that think they're boxers and WWF guys based off of maybe not liking what was going on that delayed some practices till we could get to the next snap. But it's been fun.
Christian?
Hey, Coach. When you talked about the DBs also, and you've got 3 DBs who might get selected in the NFL draft this coming weekend. How proud are you to develop that group of guys? And what does that give you as a recruiting tool in the future for Syracuse?
I think it's a great recruiting tool. Obviously, it means that you can come to Syracuse and your dreams can be fulfilled. And when you're talking about guys that go to the National Football League, Chandler Jones, Pugh, those type of cats that represent Syracuse, okay, Riley, our punter, you can come to Syracuse, you can get a wonderful degree, a degree that's going to be with you a lot longer than the National Football League unless your last name is Brady, because he's the only guy that's going to outlast his degree, and still play big-time football, get a degree that matters, and then still get an opportunity to go to the National Football League. And the thing that's really cool about those guys are Northeast guys. Those guys all originated and started up here. And we want to get that back. We want to get those corridors back that you can come here and play at this university and get a fantastic education, play in the National Football League, and be a part of an amazing alumni base.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Jaron?
Hey, Coach, appreciate your time. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. So it seems like every year, every season, there's usually a couple guys that stand out that you weren't really prepared for. You didn't have circled on the depth chart at the beginning of the year. You think about the secondary this past season, a couple guys stepped up because of injuries, Sean Tucker offensively. Has anyone in the couple spring practices that you've had kind of, like you said before, stood out to be one of those stud muffins, those surprise stud muffins?
No, the answer is yeah. I'm not going to say who they are. It's one of those things where as a team, you start to watch guys develop and you start to watch them get better. And the team can tell you, like Jihad Carter, I'm not even going to tell you the guy. Jihad Carter has been in my ear almost throughout every practice on a certain individual on offense on how much better they've been. I mean, and it's like, I saw it, Jihad. I watch, I see it. But he is making sure, okay, that I recognize that this guy is getting better. And I'm not going to say the name, and he's right. The guy is getting better, and he is standing out. And the team, not only the team is excited to see his growth. And that's what happens inside your family. So, there's cats out there and they need to continue to get better. They need to continue to work hard, and they need to continue to have faith in themselves. But there's no doubt that there's people who are buying in, and they're developing their craft and they're developing their tools.
Next, we will go to, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, Dan Tortora.
Coach, you've shifted around the personnel, obviously, when it comes to coaches and whatnot. Some guys have come in, some have gone out. Sometimes you've shipped some guys to different places and whatnot as far as offensive coordinator to running backs coach. What can you say about how your support staff is right now? Do you feel like you've finally gotten it together? And what can you say about, how they've gelled and the new guys coming in as well as shifted roles and whatnot?
First of all, when it comes to the support staff, this is the most support staff that we have. It wasn't a matter of hiring new guys. We didn't even have the jobs. We're slowly getting to where everybody else in the league when it comes to support staff. So that's the first part. I don't think it's a matter of hiring new guys. I just think that the job wasn't there. Now the jobs are there. And we do have some people that are filling those roles. I really like this staff. From the 10-3 team, I want to say we've got, 4 original staff members from that squad. And that's what happens in college football. There's job decisions and career decisions. And these guys know that I'll do everything I can to make sure they always have a job with me, but sometimes they have to make career decisions. whether I agree with them or not. You know, I'm in charge of their jobs, but they are in charge of their careers, and they get to make the decisions for their careers. And I'm going to wish them the best of luck and thank them for the work that they've done for me, and wish them nothing but good things in the future. But I really do like this staff, and I think the longer we stay together, the more everybody else is going to like them too.
And then just a quick follow-up as far as Dion, bringing him on and having an alumni on the staff, just what that means to you to have that connection and that bridge, because I know you just mentioned how important the alumni are to Syracuse.
It's really big. You know, I've sat down and talked to Dion a little bit, and the cool thing about Dion is he knows everybody's, and I'm like, that's good. That's what I want you to do. And then he'll come in and like, okay, coach, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, yeah. And he says, now, how do you want me to do it? I said, I can tell you how to do it, but how do you want to do it? And I said, why don't you tell me the way you want to do it, and I'll let you know whether it's okay or not, or whether I want to tinker with something. And I really want him to take this job and run with it. We need the bridge. You're absolutely correct. It's time. And I told him, I said, hey, if somebody wants to know some questions, answer it. I said, we live in a glass house. We believe what we do is really good. We believe that we treat people in a really good and fair way. And I said, just give them the information. And if they like it, great. And if they don't like it, well, you know, everybody gets a right to an opinion. And then we need to move on and make sure that it works and it doesn't fail.
We got time for 2 more. We'll start with Steven.
You know, I wanted to ask about the secondary. Setting Garrett aside, what did you learn about the rest of that room? And I will try. Is there anyone in particular who stood out and maybe improved their standing?
You know, and watch this, Steven. You're trying to not avoid your. I'm not even trying to avoid your question. Garrett stands out. You want to know who stands out? Garrett. Then you said, well, besides Garrett, Garrett stands out. Garrett, I'm like, Garrett, you are going to stay around for a while, right? Garrett's the bomb. I mean, he's the bell cow. I mean, I have to remind him, like, Garrett, sometimes you gotta go on some of these other receivers, because, you know, he's got to make sure that he's constantly getting work and he's getting better too. And there's only a very few clientele out there that can really make him better every day. He's really, really good, and he's really, really humble, and every day he's trying to get better. He's like a Iffy, Cisco. He's his own man, but his work ethic is like those guys. And I would anticipate the same thing that's going to happen to those guys on Friday and Saturday, or hopefully Thursday, is the same thing that's going to happen to Garrett. Now, for those other guys, I think they've got a lot of reps in. There's no doubt there's been some cats that have made some plays back there. They've had plenty of plays to have an opportunity, and they have made plays. But again, since they haven't gotten the, Jihad and Hannah got their time in, but the other guys, they haven't gotten their game swag on yet. We got to get them through the summer and get them in the fall, and we got to get them in the game. But we're young, but I think we got some guys back there. Now, whether we've got another Iffy, another Cisco, another Trill, I can't tell you that. But when those guys rolled in, okay, I knew they were good, but they got even better while they were here.
So just to follow up, you said when we spoke at the start of spring, you wanted to keep guys in the same spots so you could kind of evaluate and then get a feel. You know, now that you're kind of coming to a close here, like, is there anything you learned? Is there anyone who you moved and found something, or anything like that?
I'm thinking about offensively. No. I'll tell you what, here's the biggest thing. You'll like this one. The biggest thing that I found on offense is that all of a sudden, he'll appreciate that. We said Chris Elmore in. The last 2 times we threw him a pass in a game, he dropped 2 passes to the right on the other side. Okay, both of them hit him in the hands. Okay, he won't get mad about this. I don't know if he went to the fountain of, I don't know, or got a magic lamp or something, but the guy has caught everything. Okay, everything in practice. He is really, really campaigning to try to get us to throw him a ball one more time before he leaves here. But he's in practice. He's caught everything. So the improvement in his hands have been absolutely amazing. And on the defensive side, really, no, we've really kept everybody. I'm thinking, we've really kept everybody kind of on the defensive side. Justin Barron's been on defense, and he's been doing an exceptional job. We did not move him. And besides that, they've pretty much been outside of rotating the old linemen around a little bit. Everybody's been really stationed.
Yeah, you definitely owe it to Chris to throw it to him a few times after playing guard for most of a year.
Most of the year.
And then for our last question, we'll go to Eric Columbia.
Just wanted to get your thoughts on the NFL draft. Tomorrow night could be potentially a big night for one or maybe more of the former Orange who are in the draft. Just your thoughts on those guys, and then when you have guys like them going in the draft, what does it do for the program?
Okay, first of all, it speaks wonders on the program. I can't remember the last time I missed a draft. I'll sit there and watch every first round pick that takes forever to pick, on Thursday. And then you turn around and you get, 2 rounds or 2 rounds on Friday. And then you finished everything 4 through 7 on, and I'll sit there and watch them all. And my wife is like, I don't know how you do this. 35 years. Da, 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 da. You just sit there and watch. Can't you do anything? I'm like, I want to take it all in. I want to get every clip, every highlight, every story. And then once I've done it, I'm good. And because I don't follow the NFL. I don't have time to do that on Sundays, but it keeps me abreast of what's going on at that level. It will be good for the university. It will be good to hear Syracuse's name early and on those days. When it goes back to those 3 young men, it's, I always rib Iffy. I said, Iffy, you told me that if I redshirt you as a freshman, that you wouldn't leave early. Coach, I never said that. I said, the heck you didn't. Coach, I never said that. But I'll say this. I'll say this to you. Even if he'd have said, Coach, I want to come back. Once I found out where he was going to get drafted, I'd have told him he has to leave. Anytime you get an opportunity to go that early in the draft, and it looks like he's going to have an opportunity to go that early, you have to go. You have to go. The bummer is if you don't go, like if those guys drop below where they're supposed to go, then, that's no fun. But then you got to turn that negative into a positive. It's no different than Tristan Jackson, making the Rams, where he walked on. And I told, this is big with me. Guys that have played wide receiver for me, I've had 2nd round draft picks, 3rd round draft. I've had all kind of draft picks, but I've got a huge amount of guys who never got drafted at that position that have made the National Football League. Tristan's not the first one. And especially at those positions, if you're well-trained and you know what you're doing, and you can mentally grab a playbook, you can make a huge move in camp as a free agent. So for the draft pick guys that are going, we're excited for them. We hope they go where they're supposed to go. If they drop and they don't go where they're supposed to go, they've already signed the papers. They can still make football teams. And then once they make those football teams, they'll start showing how everybody made a big mistake and show them exactly what they're worth. The last thing I'll say in closing, since you are the last one, I tell the guys this all the time. I said, the last time, this is a recruiting, the last time you ever get to pick your head coach, the last time you ever get the chance to pick your position coach is when you're in high school going to college. The last time that football is going to be fun is in college, because the minute you sign that paper, it's no longer a game, it's a business. And you'll find out really quickly that you may have a whole bunch of pro teammates, but when you get married, they're all your college buddies are standing next to you when you get married. They're normally not a whole bunch of your pro guys. I'll end on that note. It was good to see you guys. Hopefully we can do this again sometime.